Can anything good come out of Nazareth? Those words show the questionable local reputation of this small village. But God had a plan, and that little town was home to God's greatest gift.
Barry, in this episode, we're wanting to focus more on the childhood, the young years of Jesus. So we're wanting to get back up to Nazareth. You know, over in Matthew chapter 2, it explains when they make that move, that Herod died, and behold, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt, saying, "Rise, take the child and his mother, and go to the land of Israel, for those who sought the child's life are dead." And he rose and took the child and his mother and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was reigning over Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. And being warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee. And he went and lived in a city called Nazareth, that what was spoken by the prophets might be fulfilled. He shall be called a Nazarene. Now, we're not going to be able to go down to Egypt. That's not possible this time. But we do want to get up to Nazareth. What can we go to see something that would have been like what Jesus saw?
Luckily for us, they have created a first century replica village in Nazareth, complete with buildings and people and animals, and kind of get an idea of what it would have looked like during the first century.
I would love to go see that.
Oh, it's a great place to go.
Okay, so we want to go up, we want to go see Nazareth Village, but we also have recorded for us that during the childhood of Jesus, especially around his 12th year, that there was a trip his family made from their hometown in Nazareth back down to Jerusalem to go to the temple. And it was in that instance where he gets left behind and his family actually leaves town, and they end up realizing he's not here, and they end up interacting with Jesus. So we want to talk a little bit about what that would have been like.
We will. Any good Jewish family would have been following the law, and the law required that the family come to Jerusalem 3 times a year for the feast, and that's exactly what we have recorded for us in Luke, the 2nd chapter.
Now, how far are we going to go from Jerusalem up to Nazareth? How far is that?
Oh, there's probably about 60 miles.
How long will it take us to travel that?
Well, for us in the car, we can do it in actually a couple hours. For them, it would have taken nearly a week.
Nearly a week to go just one way.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 weeks for the round trip.
Right.
So I'm really excited to go check out this first century replica city of Nazareth.
Oh, it's a beautiful place, and I think you'll enjoy your visit.
We're in Nazareth Village, here in Nazareth, and there's just a lot to see.
You're right about that. I really enjoy coming to Nazareth Village because it gives you an insight of what cities and towns would have looked like during the first century. Modern day Nazareth is a huge city. It has about 70,000 people. And ancient Nazareth sat in a little bowl in the Galilean hills, a very small town during the time of Jesus. And being able to go to Nazareth Village helps you understand a little bit more about what the city and the buildings and everything would have looked like.
And it's very secluded. It's on the side of a hill. And to walk into the town, they have trees all around the lower sides. For the most part, you feel like you've walked into a time warp because you can look around, and as you look around, it's like modern day Nazareth disappears, which I think is it's brilliant. It really helps maintain the atmosphere and the mood. And I really appreciate how they put that together.
Right, every time I come to Israel, I always go to Nazareth Village because it teaches you so many lessons about the first century.
The first thing that we come to at Nazareth Village is a threshing area where they have a donkey, and he's got a wooden apparatus behind him threshing out grain and threshing out wheat, walking in a circle.
What they would do is they would bring the wheat in after the harvest, put it around here, and they'd put a threshing floor back behind a donkey. They would lead it around, and it would thresh the wheat so that it would pull out the grain from the wheat. Then it would be taken over here and ground into a meal that would be used then for bread. It's fantastic being here at Nazareth Village and be able to see things like this. One of the things I like about coming here is that it brings first century Nazareth to the current age, and we can come around here and we can see these things, how they operated during the time of Christ.
They had several sheep, they had a couple of lambs. You know, they're sticking their noses out through the gate and trying to get really close and touch them and talk to them. Very calm animals. We passed by there to come to a replica first century tomb. And you see the circular stone that would have been rolled in front of the opening. Climbing into the replica tomb, it's hard to describe. You know, you're walking down into this small little cavernous space, this opening with some niches in the back, and to think about Christ's body being laid in something like that, and then having the stone rolled away without anyone helping, except for the angels, and then looking from the inside out is something that we don't think about very often. What would Christ have seen for the very first time as he's looking out after the resurrection? So it's just, all those thoughts go through my head when I'm stepping through that doorway.
One of the things I appreciate coming to Nazareth Village is being able to see the character actors there in their first century outfits, doing first century activities. Seeing that helps you appreciate so many of the verses in the Bible so much more.
When we walk into the carpenter shop, I have a special attachment to that. Woodworking is something that I do for a hobby back at my house, and to see the kind of tools that Jesus would have used, that Joseph would have trained him in using, it was special. So we are at Joseph's carpentry shop. So first century replica of what Jesus would have been doing with his father, and some of the tools. So we have the drill. Could we try the drill?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sure.
Okay. So this is supposed to be a first century drill, and he was going a whole lot faster. But it's spinning. How long for each hole? 2 minutes? 5 minutes? Oh man. Yeah, I prefer my cordless at home. That is really cool.
You want to try?
Yeah.
No. Look. Keep it far.
Okay. You make it look easy.
No, it's not easy.
You make it look easy.
Yeah.
There we go. You do it better.
That's easy.
Joseph, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
To see what that would have looked like, to reach up and touch that was special. It was a neat thing for me to connect with. How long did he say it would take
I think he said about 5, 6, 7 minutes.
to do one?
Right.
I'd be there a long time making one of the pieces of furniture that I did.
The last couple times I visited, he's been working on the same ladder. And so I guess eventually he'll get finished with it, but who knows?
So not a very efficient guy.
No.
But it's very visual.
But I guarantee you when he gets finished, it'll be a very nice ladder.
So he's grinding using a mortar and a pestle. So what is this?
Rosemary,
It's rosemary? And you're grinding it? Now what would you use that for?
chicken, food.
So you'd use it to flavor your food. Okay. So it's pulverizing that herb. It smells amazing. Very fragrant. Thank you. So when we walk into the weaver's house, she's working on this rug, and she's finishing it up. I mean, she's really wrapping up the bottom, and the tassels are getting made. And she took the time to explain the different yarns that she has, how she made the yarn from the wool in the first place, and then the processes that she uses to dye the wool. So would you boil it?
Yes.
Okay.
We dry it and we boil it with the water, and after that you take all the peels out and you leave the water. When the water is warm,
Yes.
you put the wool, because if it's hot, the wool will shrink.
Okay.
This colors from the grass, everything's green. This is from the leaves of the victory.
Okay.
These are natural from our sheep, the brown, the beige, and the white.
So that's undyed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is from spice. We use it for our cooking, saffron. It's
Yes.
very expensive.
Yes.
And this is from walnut skin, the brown.
Okay.
the
And what
green.
makes the blue?
Now I will tell you. These are reality colors.
Yes.
This is, we use it from seashells, kind of snails. You crush it and it gives you 1 drop of ink. To dye 1 kilo, you need more than 1,000 snails.
Just 1 kilo, you'd
Yes,
need more than
because-
1,000
yes,
snails to get the
because-
color.
Yeah, and when you fish it, you needed to keep them alive.
Wow.
And you put salt with the snails to
Yes.
give you different color. Under the sun, it gives you different color.
So very expensive.
Ooh, just royalty color, just the king and the priest was
Yeah.
wearing this. And you know that it mentioned in the Bible about a woman, she was sealing the purple.
Yes,
Lydia.
Lydia.
And the blue, it mentioned also in the Old Testament about the prayer shawl of the priest.
Oh, okay, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right. Very good.
yeah, that's the colors which we are used.
Thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
It's easy to walk away with the mistaken idea that older civilizations were somehow behind us or lesser than us. To watch her work and to see what she does, how much she's putting into every single thing. I mean, these people were brilliant. And it may have taken them longer to do things like that, but the fact that they were able to figure out how and get the process down without some of the mechanical helps that we have today just hints at how brilliant they were. We're inside the only first century synagogue replica in the country. And it's an amazing place to be. You see the multi-tiered seating system around the perimeter, so everyone would be facing each other. You see the heart-shaped columns in the corner. There are 7 columns in this particular replica. And when you come around opposite the front door, you've got this area where someone would have been presenting or speaking to those who came to the assembly. Now, this table setup would not necessarily have been there, but for prop usage, it's great to understand that this is where the speaker or the reader would have been. So off to my left in the corner here is a doorway that goes to a storage chamber. They would have had jars holding their sacred writings on a scroll. So when it says that Jesus read from Isaiah, that would have come out of the jar, out of the storage room that he would have been reading to those who were gathered here. This just gives you a great sense of where Jesus would have learned, where Jesus would have taught, where Jesus would have gathered with folks from his hometown of Nazareth. Walking into the completed first century synagogue it's a special moment. To visualize Jesus standing and teaching and interacting with crowds as a preacher and teacher is just astounding. I'm really struggling with how to wrap up our experience at Nazareth Village. There are things I want to see more of. There are things I want to spend more time with. I appreciate the time we were there, but it wasn't nearly long enough. I want to come back. Today we went down to the marketplace in the old city of Jerusalem.
Jeremy, we're in this Muslim quarter of the old city. We're in the midst of a marketplace here.
A busy marketplace.
Yeah, very busy. Well, we've got all kind of fruits and vegetables over here. We've got flowers over here.
The marketplace is really the heart of the city. I mean, especially old Jerusalem. You come here to get anything. You come here to get your produce, your precious metals, your clothes. It's like a huge bazaar.
It really is. And I love coming here. The old city has such personality. It really is exciting to come.
Walking through the marketplace in the old city is unlike any other shopping expedition I've gone on. It's not like going through an outlet store in the US. It's not like going to an enclosed mall with escalators and everything is pristine and clean and glass. You're passing shops made out of stones that date back centuries, sometimes millennia. They're rough and there's texture to them. And artifact shop on one side and you turn the corner and there's a butcher on the other side with things hanging in the window. There's nothing else like it. You're going through there and people are coming and going, and when we talk about, well, I'm gonna go to the grocery store, I'm gonna go to the market in the West, in the US, we're talking about a large big box store with huge aisles and lots of room and tons of space. But that's not the way this works. You have vendors selling out of these small little hole in the walls all the way down these streets, and they're displaying their wares along the way in just bright colors. A lot of salesmanship going on, a lot of haggling going on. Almost everything's negotiable. You know, the first question you ask is, so how much? And let him throw out a price, and then go back and forth. And you kind of have to have an idea of what something ought to go for before you go in. And it's just, it's a neat place to go.
I don't really enjoy big cities. I'm more of a country person. I'd much rather stay in the country, have the wide open spaces, but I love the old city of Jerusalem. It's just a maze of alleyways and small roads and hundreds, if not thousands, of little shops. Every 10 feet, there's new little shops on every side. There are people selling everything. This is not just a tourist place. People live there. And so this is where they shop for fruits and vegetables and tennis shoes and clothes and eyeglasses and spices. One of the places where we stopped going through there was one of the spice shops. You knew that you were getting close just because of the aroma in the air.
About 200 yards away, you could smell the spices.
It's a wonderful place to stop.
Some of their spices are combined, you know, for a specific food. So over here on the right, we've got one that's for a falafel, but it's a combined spice. There are multiple spices in that, or one for meat. Further up, there's some for a Cambodian flavor. And we've got coriander right here, cinnamon right here, and a bunch of different curries. Shawarma. I mean, it's beautiful, and the colors are vibrant, and you can smell everything from so far away.
The old city has so much personality to it. It's divided into 4 quarters, the Jewish quarter, the Muslim quarter, the Christian quarter, and the Armenian quarter. And each of those 4 quarters are completely different places. And as you're walking from one quarter to another, you immediately notice that, okay, I'm in a different area now.
And to some degree, that would have been there in the first century. As Jesus was walking in downtown Jerusalem, or as he was walking around the Temple Mount, you would have had vendors, you would have had shops, you would have had stalls. There are examples of that at the first century street by the Temple Mount. And so you'd have that kind of flavor going on, and it's been preserved. That's still the way they do things.
We read about that in the Bible, of course, when any Jewish family came to Jerusalem, especially around feast time, or if they had a special dedication they needed to perform on behalf of their family, they would need to go to some sort of marketplace to purchase doves or a goat or some sort of sacrifice. And so there are all kinds of things there.
Barry, one of the times that Jesus' family came down to Jerusalem, we're told they came down annually for the Passover. Luke tells us that his parents went to Jerusalem every year at the feast of the Passover. And when he was 12 years old, they went up according to custom. And when the feast was ended, as they were returning, the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem. His parents didn't know it. You know, they're on their way home. They don't realize that Jesus isn't with their group, and they have to come back and find him. It takes them 3 days, and they find him in the Temple Mount interacting with teachers. So where are we standing right now?
We're standing on the southern steps of the Temple Mount. And so the Jews of that time, when they came to Jerusalem, they would have come up these steps into the temple so that they could have taken care of what they need to do here.
Okay, so these steps that we're standing on are first century steps. We're also facing the southern wall of the Temple Mount. Actually, in this corner, there are the remains of the double gate.
Double gate.
Right? It's been blocked off. It's not in use. We can actually only see about half of that former gate.
Right, there's later period buildings that have blocked a lot of it.
But that would have been one of the entrance points, one of the 2 southern entrance points
Right.
into the Temple Mount. To imagine the events of Luke chapter 2, throngs of people coming to Jerusalem for the Passover, Jesus and his family coming south from Galilee, they would have been accessing the Temple Mount, they would have been sacrificing, there would have been teaching going on, scribes and rabbis, and Jesus was interacting with those folks.
That's right.
He was impressing the teachers. He was there for multiple days, and when Mary and Joseph finally interact with him and find him, he explains that the reason he stayed behind was to do his Father's business.
That's correct. That would all taken place up here on the Temple Mount.
You'll hear us say a lot, this was the traditional location. You'll hear us say it was somewhere in this area, but there were 2 primary entrances into the Temple Mount. Some think one was used for an entrance and one was used for an exit. That's even better for us because that's easy to say. Jesus used these steps. Jesus went to the Temple Mount on an annual basis. His family went there for Passover. Jesus walked on these steps. And it's thrilling to think about that and confidently say that. Now, what do you think about Jesus and his parents not realizing that he was gone for so long? I mean, people joke around about leaving their kids at the church building and 5 minutes later going, wait a minute, we have an empty seat. But for a family to be traveling and not realize that for so long, what do we make of that?
As they were going back to Galilee, there would have been a large group of people. It would have been easy for them to assume that Jesus was probably with other family members. And they got halfway up the road, and realized, oh no, he's not here.
They would have thought something along the lines of, Jesus is with Uncle so-and-so or with Aunt so-and-so. And after tracking that down, they realized, wait a minute, Jesus is not with Uncle or Aunt, he's back in Jerusalem.
He was. They found him here in the temple talking to the priests and the scribes.
That's right, so you have a 12-year-old boy interacting with these men that have made it their life's work to understand the law, to understand the rabbinical teachings. And this 12-year-old boy is interacting with them, astounding the people that are listening to him. And of course, when his family finds him, Jesus makes the statement that he has to be about his Father's business and making reference to his Heavenly Father. Jesus understands what he's about and what his mission is, even though he's a child.
That's exactly right. And I think it's so interesting how Mary approaches a lot of these things about Jesus. She sees things like that and stores them in her heart. She knows there's something special about this child.
As a parent, I think about how I would have felt to realize I left my Nazarene son, I left in Jerusalem.
And then you couldn't find him for 3 days.
It took you 3 days to find him. And then when you finally do, there isn't this, oh, I'm so sorry, Mom and Dad. There wasn't any of that. There was just this very calm, I needed to be here doing what I was sent to do. I initially probably would have been taken a little aback by that. But they obviously took that to heart. And Luke records that for us to help us understand that even at 12 years old, Jesus understood something about himself and his mission. In this episode of Following the Messiah, we've been talking about the childhood and early years of Jesus, culminating with his 12-year-old trip for the Passover down to Jerusalem and the Temple Mount. Now, all of these stops that we've made along the way are like breadcrumbs. We're following a trail. All of these things hint at his identity as the Son of God, the one who came to be the Messiah. We know, especially at that Temple Mount visit, that his mother saved up that trip in her heart, that everything that had happened, her conversation, Jesus saying he must be about his Father's business, that was just one more piece of the puzzle for her to figuring out who Jesus was and what he was about. Now, if those things were special to Mary, and the gospel writers thought they were significant enough to record them for us, then we ought to pay special attention to those things as well. Those things help us understand who Jesus is.